Hello.
What's going on, T? What's up?
What's going on, Mr. Michael Jordan, his airness himself?
Yeah. Airheadness. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
John, Mr. John Duncan had reached out to me and had suggested that I reach out to you or that we be in contact because he thinks you got a cool story to tell. And, from what I've seen from your videos that I've watched and everything, I got some seriously curious questions for you and whatnot. So again, thanks for coming on today, brother.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. The Mad Mead Maker, dude, he's an original cat, man. And actually that's kind of like some of the stuff we did a group brewing event where we had people in the micro mead maker all make the same mead on the same day, the same brew. There's a guy named Tim Huffman, the bead man from Florida. He kind of organized some of it, and we ended up making a blueberry lemonade.
Okay.
So that's like we did that on a group brew day. So I mean, I think there's like 52 of us that all did it on a Zoom meeting, all at the same time, made the same mead. And I'm kind of comparing it right now. So that this is a blueberry pomegranate, and then this is a blueberry lemonade. So I'm kind of just tasting a little bit. I got them both at the same ABV and stuff. So I'm kind of comparing them to see which one I like the best with aroma and
Yeah.
color, texture. See how sometimes when I do some stuff where I like mine on the edge of syrup is what some guys feel. It's just on the edge of that. I don't want it to be too like a dessert. I don't want too much of a dessert. I want it more something like you would enhance and just kind of drink or even blend.
Okay.
That
You want to go right up to the edge of cloying, but not get over that line.
yeah. I want to be able to make them so you can even blend them with some other drinks because most of mine ABV start out at 17. You know, some of them around 23. So I try to keep it higher and use a lot. I use a lot of honey as a beekeeper. I can use a lot of that shit though.
Yeah, I know you are a beekeeper, which is super awesome. That plays into the whole mead making process and aspects and everything like that. Got to have our beekeepers and apiaries and bees themselves, of course, to do what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me throw a little introduction down here real quick, and then let you continue telling your story and stuff.
Sure, man. Sure.
Right on. Hey, what's up, YouTube? TK here for tkanddrinks. Thanks for showing up today. We got another What's the Story episode going on today. I am joined by the great man, Mr. Michael Jordan. You may have seen him around from the Underground Meadery on YouTube. Ha! His airness right there, putting in the buckets. He's also in a bunch of Facebook groups all over, all over helping everybody do whatever he can to help them make a better meat and product, everything. So, Mr. Michael Jordan, thank you for being here today. Yes, sir.
Hello, baby.
So, before we, clicked over here, you were just talking about you're drinking some meads today. You got you said you were had done a blueberry lemonade mead Zoom meeting mead competition type of deal, and that's what you're sampling today.
Yeah. When you did your interview with the Mad Mead Maker John Duncan, he organized a group event that we're going to try to do every February. That everybody can tune in on a certain day. We'll give out a recipe. You can get it. You can tune in, and you can brew it with us. We decided that a blueberry lemonade would be something that would be everybody could easy to do. Give you a little flavor, some color, something fun to do. And we figured if we did that at about the same time every year, you could actually, over a period of time, be drinking what we made one time as we brew the next round. And John and I were like, man, wouldn't it be crazy like if you had over like 20,000 people making the same thing? And I said, yeah, that'd be a Guinness Book of World Record.
Oh,
You know,
kidding.
so yeah, so you know, those are wild fantasy goals, right? Like to have all over the world at one time, everybody brewing the same thing and drinking the same thing they brewed the last time. You know, just some crazy stuff. So yeah, so we decided to be a blueberry lemonade, and then I wanted to do a like a test pilot against it
Hmm.
because the blueberry lemonade, you know, is it's gonna have the sour tartness and stuff
Right.
from the lemons and stuff. So I wanted to try something on the other end with the blueberry and see if I could boost it with more of a oh I didn't want to get a prune or a darker color, so I went with pomegranates with it.
Ooh.
And I was trying to balance out something a little more not too sweet, but to go something with drier. Most of my meads are pretty dry. I use a lot of honey, but I use a really powerful yeast. I like man, one day they're gonna call me out and sponsor me a little bit more. But Red Star, Premier Blanc, Yellow Pack yeast is like they send me like bunches. I mean I got trillions of packs of this shit, and it's like my go-to yeast when it comes to brewing. If I'm using like some leaven or something, right, or some bricks or some white lab or something, and it just doesn't kick because when you use fresh hard sugar like honey, sometimes yeast don't kick in it. And they have a hard time just wanting to get to it. That's why you'll have a lot of guys throw a lot of nutrients and stuff in it. But I try to use I use about anywhere for about 3.5 pounds to 4 pounds of honey per gallon. So I'm pushing it up there a little bit where people are going, oh, that's almost a sack, or that's gonna be super sweet. But blending some yeast starters, using some autoclaves and some plates, and then using some some
Yeah.
yeast starters from the gold yellow packs there from Red Star, and I'll blend some yeast and I'll throw that in there. That's how I can get my ABs, starting about 18 to about 23, 24%.
Man. Yeah, I just started my first mead here over the weekend. I think 96 hours about right now. And I put in 3.5 pounds of mesquite blossom honey. Well, I thought was 3.5 pounds, but I read the bottles wrong. They were 36-ounce bottles. So so I ended up putting quite whatever 72 ounces is in pounds, almost 72 ounces worth of honey. Probably stopped a bit short, but then I put in about 3.2 grams of Kvike yeast and mixed in a gram of the Fermade O with that at the pitch.
Yeah, I watched you do it.
Oh,
I
okay.
checked you out. I watched you make it, man. You had your 2 jars you were going for. You had your star sand going and making it,
Right.
man, super complicated as fuck. You were
Yeah.
going for it, baby.
I made it look a lot more complicated than it really is. I take a simple process and take it about 45 steps too far. So, but I was hitting those same.
You did good. I thought you did
Oh, thank
good.
you, my man. But yeah, I was getting those. I was kind of surprised that I got as low as I did on my reading. A 116, and then when I was down at when I checked yesterday at 72 hours, I was down to 1090. So I'm imagining it's going to fall pretty far. And I think that, the yeast I got it sitting right here. The yeast is going pretty good. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's got quite a bit of activity going on in there. It's rocking and rolling.
Yeah, around the top ring.
Yeah.
Right, that's where you look for your bubbles, right around the top ring, right?
Yep.
Like the isk, right on the before you get your drop in the center of your
Yep.
mead.
I'll come right up the edge and foam right around. It's going. I was worried about the blowdown tube not being that about like being overkill for the size of the batch and the, not enough gas being off put to warrant that. But then I saw you did with a balloon. You do balloons and stuff like that. Like, do you leave a balloon on there for the whole time it's fermented and just like swap them out when you like take readings, or?
Yeah, I swap them out when I do readings, right? And what you're seeing on all those things is, man, like micro mead making, right? Those are gallon batches, right? They're the necks on them are size of 50 cents, so
Right.
like
Yeah.
when you pull stuff off and you're changing out and it's pushing out gas, right? Nothing's getting in there when I'm popping a balloon and taking a quick reading, right? I got glass tubes just like Vino, right? You just pull them, put your thumb on them, pull them up.
Right.
I use a lot of balloons, and there's a couple reasons why, and it's that's how I learned.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned, right? We'll talk about that, right? About mead making and how I learned. But my grandfather was a winemaker in Pennsylvania for the Dutch, Amish, and the Brethren. And on my mother's side, right, we brewed mead and stuff from Ireland. So the two came together for me.
Uh-huh.
But I learned that you put a balloon on top of your fermentation. And I always ask my grandfather why. And he says, when you throw adjuncts inside there, he says sometimes those airlocks and those tubes and stuff get plugged.
Mm-hmm.
And then things blow up. And this was back in, when I was learning, this was in 1980s.
And
So that's so like glass jugs and all kinds of stuff and crocks and moving big equipment around with my grandpa and stuff was some different some stuff on how things were done back then. So we always used balloons and back then there was like a brewing balloon that you could get. And the reason for it was the adjuncts would blow up into the balloon and you could fill up the balloon would fall over to the side because it'd be full of the adjunct. So like the best balloons to brew with, everybody asks me, oh, the balloons you use, what balloons you use? Go get the punching balloons, like you fill up the big ones, the punch.
Yeah.
That's what you use. You stretch that over there, you put that over it, right? That thing can get really big. And if it blows apple chunks and peaches or your marmel or whatever you're doing for your methylogen, it goes into that balloon and it hangs on the side. And then you just tip that sucker and just shake all that shit back in your jug, right? And then if you want to degas a little bit, you can really shake your jug. We call it jostling. And then really, that balloon can get really big, and then you can bleed it off a little bit, right? Degas. And it really makes it fun for a beginning brewer. The bubbles look cool and all the stuff, right? But when your balloon gets so big, try to start writing your gravities and stuff on your balloons as you see them grow. And as you change them out, you're doing stuff. I brew, and how we brew and how we teach brewing is a 6-month process with a 6 months aging.
Okay.
And that's how we teach. So all those videos you see in those gallon jugs, they sit for 6 months until they're like clear. And then we're cold crashing them. And then we're setting them and we're pouring them in really small bottles. This is basically what we use. We buy a lot of these little plastic 6 and 8 ounce bottles that you can seal, and you can write on them with the black Sharpies, all the information on them. You can put them on there. And that way, and it sounds crazy, right? But I have people over, right? You have tasting. So this is tasted at 6 months. This is now tasted at a year. This is tasted a year and 6 months. Because when you have them down like this is enough to where we can pour little vino glasses, right? You just pour, you're only pouring a couple ounces because we're trying to taste aging. Because at certain points, it's only going to get, this is the best, this is it. And it has to do with wines, it has to do with it's at its peak. This is it. This is when we should drink it at the most. And
Right.
how you do that. So the next time I make a batch, those gallon batches, I mix, I back sweeten them, I work with them. There's a lot of processes to, because honey's not cheap unless like I said, when I teach mead making, if you go to the store and you buy honey, you buy it off the store shelf and it's all you can afford, and that's awesome, right? And then people tell me, oh, this guy bought this honey, and then you tell him to use grape juice off the shelf. I'm like, well, the guy's probably not rich. He wants to try mead making. He's read Make Viking Mead or Make Mead Like a Viking. He's saw Beowulf. Now he saw the fat man here drinking it. And he's like, I want to try it. But, people are telling me good honey starts off at about $10 to $20 a pound to
Eh,
be good honey, right? And I don't want to, Michael just said that he's using 4 pounds in a gallon at $10. That's $40 in a gallon,
sounds about right.
right? When you can go get some cane sugar, right, and back sweeten that with some Kool-Aid, right, and same shit, baby, right? But what's
Uh,
quality? What's quality? There's quality. There's some really, heather honey, avocado honey. Oh, man, there's just some stuff out there that's really good and kind of really exotic that we play with. And
yeah.
that's why is when you see me doing the gallon batches, and that's why it's because I'm playing. But in the Underground Meadery Health, I have 42 5-gallon jugs. I have 12 10-gallon fermenters. I have 78 1-gallon jugs. So I could do 52 meads in a year, right? I could have, that's 52 jugs right off the bat, right? Doing one
Right.
every Friday. So I have 3 55-gallon fermenters and one 160-gallon fermenter, right? And I don't use them all at the same time, but like the big one, the 168, when I do a traditional, I make a really great traditional with our honey because our honey is in the Rocky Mountain, high climate, altitude, great water, natural clover, actually 3 different types of wild clover here. And I'm actually got by HR Ranch, I got a natural guy that grows Mexican saffron. So I get a really good blend for my honey that I actually just get nice. It's a really nice honey. And when I make a traditional in that big batch, I'm able to blend that off. I can pull off, you know, 20 gallons out of it. And maybe I'll go ahead and I'll soak some apples in it and some wood chips and blend it off to something else to make it like a barrel aged whiskey tasting,
There you go.
and doing some stuff
Yeah.
and doing that big batch. But I just don't make a big batch of blueberry lemonade, and let the largest batches I do, those would be maybe like 10 gallons at a time. And that's not to where I can bottle it down and do some fun things and
Right.
do some events and let people drink it.
I got you, my man. That's quite the process you have going on there. I'm a big fan of the balloon idea. If I had the room for something like that, I think I might try that out. I think I'll definitely try it out in the future when I do have the room for it. But I like that idea. That's very cool.
I think you should just do what I had a guy write me. He was in the service. He goes, "We're over here and want to make some mead. A little hard to get alcohol. What do we do?" And I said, "My man, you take 40 honey sticks, cut the tops off, squeeze them in that 20-ounce bottle of water, fill that up, throw some bread yeast in there, shake it up, put the balloon on it, give it about 60 days, give me a call." So let
No
me
kid.
know. Yeah, all right. That's when you in the sand, I guess you got to get what you get. So
Hey,
they was trying to do some jailhouse mead Pruno. So
Hey, that sounds better than other types of pruno I could imagine. If you got access to 40 honey sticks and some bread yeast, man, I think I would take that pretty much over any other type of homemade hooch out in the desert.
Yeah. So, I
Definitely.
mean, it's just all what you want to do. So yeah, I do all kinds of stuff and it's pretty fun. I do some competitions. I've won
Mhm.
Mazer Cups and I've done some
Yeah.
cool stuff with meads, and right now we're doing a little trip with braggots called Nottingham and stuff. And
Yeah.
so, we do all kinds of stuff and we teach. Like I said, well, I've been making mead for a long time. My first batch that I personally made was in 1996, and it was jet fuel. Me and my cousin made it, right, trying to do old grandpa, man, it's jet fuel. But we've come a long way from there, and we tell the story of like how we have a special pot, and I when you come to the events, I show the drawing how it's made, but it's a specialized pot that was made with wood and stuff to set over a fire to make mead. And the pot, how in about 908 AD, just before the Crusades, I think that was 1180, 1190 around there, Crusades. So the Vikings were moving back and forth before then, right? So about 908, those Vikings were coming up and across, and they had these biting bugs, and they wrecked on our green island there at about Mayo, Galway. And on our island, right, you either succumb to being part of the clan, or you leave the island in a new way. It was so we enslaved a lot of people. They taught us how to manage the bugs and stuff, and how the pictures and all the stuff goes is that the bees would fly into a tree and form comb and all this stuff, and you'd come over and you'd build a fire underneath it, and the smoke and stuff would fire up and smoke the bees out of all that in the tree. And then you'd throw a pot over the top of it, and you'd climb up and you'd cut the comb, and it'd fall down into this pot, this special pot that we have that had some tubes and stuff in it, but it'd fall in this pot, and it would start to melt the wax and separate the honey and everything. And then you fill it full of water. And how the pot was designed, the wax would float to the top, and that made your airlock. And when you use beeswax fresh, it has pollen in it. So it's natural yeast, right? So when you throw
Yeah.
water from the river, it has minerals and all kinds of shit in it, algae, and you throw it in that pot and it mixes with the pollen, you get a natural yeast reaction. And
Nice.
the wax would rise, and that would show fermentation. It would crack and it'd bleed off the CO2, and then it would fall. And then we would actually add more sugar through how it was made. And the alcohol that went to the top, because alcohol goes to the top, falls out the sides and fills baskets or yobes. And then you take those and set those outside. And in the winter, they would freeze, and the alcohol would fall to the bottom, and the ice would be to the top. You puncture the bottom, and you'd get pure honey, almost distilled liquor. And that's the whole system of how our family made King's Mead and all the stuff. And the story of drinking, this is what John wanted me to tell you, right? So the story of drinking is that there's different types of drinks in the world, and it started out called gruit. And gruit was like the scraps of the kitchen. Didn't have any hops. It didn't have a lot of grains. It's just basically everything. It had mostly roots, kind of like burdock root, dandelion roots, and stuff like that. Potatoes and stuff for sugar. The scraps of the kitchen. Gruit. And you'd throw bread in and water, and you'd set it aside, and it'd ferment, and you drank that. Because you got to remember, back in the day, you couldn't drink water. It'd kill you, right? So you either had to boil it or ferment it. So
Yep.
this bucket of fermented gruit, it probably was about enough alcohol, like maybe a little more than vanilla extract, right? You know what I mean? It's got a little alcohol into it, but it's not real good drinking.
Right.
But that was the scraps of the kitchen. So then you had the labor of the land, and that was like your carpenters, your sailors, your people that built your blacksmith,
Your
and they
trades.
wanted ale. Yes, they wanted ale. So that was the harvesting of the grains of the land. And you gave it to the laborers of your land, a little more alcohol, a little more robust. People drank it, right? Had some hops. Uh, then you had the fruits of the land, and that was the land owners, and they had the peaches and the apples and the grapes. And you got wines, and that was the fruits of the land. But all this was controlled by one guy. And on my area and stuff, we don't go all the way back to Egypt. I'm talking Ireland in that area, all the way to Poland and stuff. The king controlled the bees. He told what lands got pollinated. He told what churches got wax. He told what bread companies got honey, right? Based on all the taxes these poor bastards paid, right? You paid more, you got more. And he pollinated, and the more food you got, and the more stuff you got. But what happens is the bees pollinated his land, the king's land. So my land might be spicy, right? We do peppers, we do coriander, we do some stuff, we got a little spice honeys, right?
Yeah.
But this other kingdom, they're super fruity, right? They got lots of floral and all kinds of stuff that we ain't got over here. They're a little more tropical. In this kingdom over here, man, I don't know what it is, man, but it's got some like blue mushroom stuff in it, and I don't remember too much, but that kingdom's crazy. And I'm just saying it that way because when it came to drinking, you only drink mead a few times because it was the honey of the king's land. And he made his mead of his land. And you drank it before you went to war because you're going to probably fucking die. So it's your last great drink, right? You drank it when you came back, right? Because it's pure alcohol. We just talked about that they blended it down in fruit drinks and stuff because they were making high alcohol because you could travel it from boat. You traveled and you could distill a little bit and make fire and heal wounds, when you get cut. So, when you came back, you drank it. Drank it before you got there, drank it when you came back. The king, I just said, drank it with other kings when they parlayed. So I could taste yours and I could say, woo, man, that's a little tart, man. Woo, yours is a little tart. You should taste mine, all floral and shit, and peacocking a little bit. And then, of course, the major story. When we married, we wanted babies because that's what makes kingdoms, is kids. Right? So when we married, we made the honeymoon mead and they drank it, and libations, we know, make things happen. And we know that, like, right now in America, we'll never compete globally because we don't have enough kids anyway, right? Because that's what makes kingdoms, is kids, right? You got to have lots of kids to make a kingdom. I wish I could have more. Mama said no. So I'm just, but those were the only times you drank mead. People do all kinds of things with mead now. There's all kinds of difference where you can add maple, and it has its own name, Epimates, sizers. There's an organization that came out and has like put everything in groupings and listings, and really hard for people to just, it's pretty clear it's about 20%.
Yeah.
I can see the legs on it. I'm not a judge, but I think, if I poured this in a glass and I gave it to my wife where she was going to take a bath, she'd probably be in the bath for about 3 hours. I mean, I'm just saying, so I don't know if it'd win any awards, but I mean, my wife would probably be pretty appreciative of this one, and that was a group brew, so I mean, there's a lot of other people that might be joining this with their wives. I don't know.
Nice. Well, you know, I I think some of those types of organizations are, I don't know, they're a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? It's I feel it's a lot of well intentions that tend to go awry, or that tend to not fully hit the mark that they were designed to, and it ends up becoming
Hey, I'm not against them. I'm not against them at all, right? Because you have to make a standard, and they're making a standard,
right.
right? That, I mean, there's a criteria that they're making, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, because I'm going to tell you right now, what were you just drinking? Looked pretty hazy.
I was drinking a sour a la mode. Uh, I don't what they call them. I think it's technically like a Berliner Weiss. So yeah, they're
Okay.
super. It's super hazy. Super. I mean, it basically
Okay,
looks
so
like
I'm going to
mud
take you
water.
back. So what you just drank, I'm going to drift you back to 1997, where I was in a dorm room, and that was what we drank because that was the swill. Now I'm going to boost you to 2023, where that swill is now called soured beer, and we put it in a shitty ass wine and we mix it together, and we call it a bourbon barrel batch sour. We
Oh,
charge $80 more for shit when back in the 90s. And what judges are judging on now, right? It's not clear, it's not crisp, right?
yeah.
It doesn't have the big foamy heads, right, to and collapse the aroma, right? Now this shit, what's everybody's drinking. You're
Oh
drinking
yeah.
a Juicy Haze IPA, right? Super hoppy, you can't see through the shit,
Yeah.
right? You're throwing oranges in it. Name a judge that would be going, I'm supposed to add oranges to this now? This isn't a mixed cocktail. I
Right.
mean, there's some shit that goes on that I don't, but they have made a standard,
Yeah.
and people go by that. They become mazers of the year. Uh, there's guys that enter their stuff, make big batches of it, and send it to, man, the Iron Bee, the Mazer Cup,
Right.
Gold Whip. There's a lot of them around, and to compete to become like Mazer of the Year, you'd have to make a big batch to send it to a lot of places for it to judge to see, you know.
Exactly.
Uh, yeah, I mean that's a lot. Like I said, I've got some big stuff, but I'm not commercial, right? I'm a private guy. I don't brew any more than my legal amount, right? I just,
Right. Nice
try
and
to
on the
help
level.
out, and yeah, fuck yeah. I have no witnesses, Jehovah or any otherwise, right? he just he just makes shit happen here, baby. Right?
I
We
like it.
don't segregate or anything. Everybody can come. I don't care,
Uh,
Viking or not, black
Heck
or
yeah.
white. Just come and have a good time, baby.
Um, so like you're talking about adjuncts and whatnot. Like these guys. This one is a key lime coconut pie. So they say they got key limes, bananas, coconuts, cream cheese, granola, lactose sugar, vanilla beans. You know, that's like you're saying, that's a lot of stuff in there that probably what you say 25 years ago would get you booted. They wouldn't even let you in the door with something like that. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Who would think about, I think there's a group up towards Washington that cut the beard hair and brew with the beard hair and the fermentation.
oh no,
Uh
no, that doesn't do it for
yeah,
me.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's a lot, I do a lot of extreme stuff with my son, but I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not doing that, man. I mean, we make dumb sucker meat and stuff like that, but we ain't.
So that's what I was going to get to. I was going to say I've seen in some of your videos that you reference making meads out of like soda or out of like Dum Dums or Tootsie Rolls and stuff. So like what's the thought process behind that? Just is it just being, say, a cutting edge, or just being goofy and having
No,
fun
there's
with
no
it? Or
there's no cutting edge about that. No, that's just being fun. Uh some of the stuff, like that video of my son, the first one, he's pretty young in that one. We're making the cotton candy dum dum sucker one, and we were doing a Belgian candy, and we were boiling it with some stuff. And my son was like, well, that candy doesn't taste good. You should use this candy. And I got to thinking about sugars, and people really get off. They're like, well, you're not using your, mead's honey, right? It's honey, water, and yeast. Well,
Right.
then why do you have all these categories of piments, sizers, capsules? I mean, there's so many. I mean, you've broken them all down now into so much shit. Does it really matter what category it goes into? Because most of my categories that I enter and win at are experimental. Like the THC CBD one, that's an experimental win. Uh, the double grained gruit that we do called Little John. I think it's one of the most complex gruits in the world because we're blending honeys and melting chocolates into the. I mean, but where do you take it, and where do people go? I don't think it's cutting edge. I think it's just having fun making mead. I think if you really want to get really badass, and this is my next level, is we're growing our own grapes, and in our climate and our altitude and our region, I'm able to let them raisin on the vine and freeze, and it's called icing. And then you pick those raisin grapes off the vine, and you get like a teardrop of juice from a grape. I mean, when you mash them all down, right? So we're going to do that, and we're growing our own grapes to do that. And we produce our own honey. And I have a source that our family, like I said, we come from Ireland. It's family owned. It hasn't touched fertilizer, pesticides. It has the Leopold Farm Steward Award for over 125 years of non-human interaction, meaning when we grazed it, it was circulating graze like the buffalo used to do. And it has a natural spring that comes out of the ground through there that I'm able to get water from. So this is really exotic. Like I said, if you want to get really exotic, I grew my own grapes that I'm icing down, raising down, my own bees, and I told you how the honey is. And I'm getting water that has no pesticides. It probably has what kind of microbials or whatever from in the stream. And when I make this, it's one of a kind.
Right.
So if you win an award with it, what's it worth?
Well, I
I
mean,
don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I truly don't give a shit. What I want to do to it then is I want to get a permit from the Game and Fish Department and see if I can sink it in one of our deeper areas of one of our lakes and have the pressure of the altitude and climate age it for 6 months and see what that does to it.
okay.
Right? I don't want to go cutting edge. I just want to try some really wild shit that not a lot of people get to try. But if you get to sit down with me and I have some of this, you'll really enjoy some of the stuff that I have because I do some of the stuff I'm talking about. Right? We're talking about candies and stuff. I do have some exotic candies and stuff shipped in. And I do pay sometimes an astronomical amount. John Duncan couldn't believe I paid $47 a pound for honey for some stuff I wanted to do. I wanted some chemical honey that was grown out of the Celtic area up there from Scotland and Ireland with some heather honey, right? And I paid for shipping. I mean, but I get to play with that because I'm eccentric,
Right.
you know. But
But
people don't get to do that, and that's why I'm telling you, use a balloon, find some honey from the store, try to blend some stuff, back sweeten a little bit, get what you like before you do an investment on that.
oh, I definitely am plan on staying small for quite a while before I try to even consider upscaling. You know what I mean? I don't
What's
see.
upscaling? 3 gallons? Is three
Um,
gallons upscaling?
yeah.
Okay, because that's a 5 gallon bucket. Just to let you know, you buy a 5 gallon bucket at Home Depot. That's
Oh
your three
yeah.
gallon fermenter right there. right? I'm just letting you know with the headspace and everything that you need for the bubble, and right with your adjuncts floating in the top of it.
Right. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna just stick with the 1 gallons for now, but it's definitely nice to know that I have those options. And I've been looking. I mean, I'm seeing what's out there, and I don't know. It's weird. Like I have this unreasonable uh, distaste for fermenting inside something that has an opaque wall to it. You know what I mean? It's like I want to be able to see what's going on inside there. I want to be able to, and I know that's completely like a new school thing because everything used to be done in, like you were saying, in those giant ceramic pots or terracotta pots or whatever. I mean, you didn't get to see what was going on until it came out the tube on the side and filled up the jug. I mean, that was what it was. You get the final product, but
Yeah, look at Abbey stuff, the old Abbey brewers, right? The wooden kegs. They're not seeing anything, right? You know what I
right.
mean? Until the product was finished and they were pouring it in goblets, right? Refined glass didn't come until Persia.
I think it's an insecurity thing that I have. I probably need to get over that, but definitely. Well, but I mean, going back to what you're saying though, like you call it having fun, and somebody like me who's probably down towards the very bottom of the totem pole of education when it comes to this stuff, the candy stuff, I guess it may be kind of cutting edge. I think that might just fit in the fun part. But like what you were just saying about like growing your own grapes and letting them ice over into ice raisins and juicing them and pressure aging it in a lake up in the mountains, like that to me does seem like the type of cutting edge stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't know how to put it. It's like, you get like Einstein didn't see himself as a genius in his day. He's like, I'm just doing work. It's the same thing. You're doing something like beyond somebody who's just getting ready, because a lot of people are just like, I want an apiary now. I make my own mead now. I want to keep bees, and then they start thinking maybe I'll grow some of my own ingredients and stuff. And you're already talking about, not only am I growing my own ingredients, we're certified that we don't even use pesticides. We're all natural. I mean, Mother Nature does everything for us. We got spring water. I mean that's like 5-6 levels ahead of where most people are at, and even some of the commercial people are just stop at the farm level, don't even go to those, I guess the non-pesticides, but
Well,
man.
there's some good meaderies that are doing this. Like, I know like Brothers Drake Meadery, they only buy honey from Ohio. They only buy it from a certain guy. They're only promoting a certain blend of what they do. And I think they do some something like a battle axe barrel bourbon uh mead, right? So I mean there's cats doing some stuff.
But the
I
fact
mean, I
that
don't
we
know.
the fact that
You
we
know,
could
I,
go and name who these cats are, we could sit here between the two of us, probably name, you know between a dozen and two dozen places, but that's what I'm saying. That's the vast minority of people out there doing stuff, are even up to the point of growing their own ingredients and sourcing locally, and all this stuff. A lot of people just are okay, and not to say okay, but just have to get their honey online because they don't have an option to get it locally and stuff like that, not to the quantities that they need. So
oh,
maybe
that's the thing. The quantities that you need to do. I mean,
I guess want to do would be a better way to put it, not necessarily need to do. But I mean, if they have they got a business plan. We're trying to do this much. We want to make this many gallons and all this stuff and everything. And you're making a business out of bees, right? You're going to pay for it. And if you blow out your local supply, or if you don't even have a local supply, so to speak, you're pretty much stuck with trucking it in.
yeah, and there's don't get don't believe all the hype that honey that comes from overseas is bad. That's not all true. Uh, we do not produce enough honey in the United States for the necessity that you sons of bitches use it. And that's a fact. Honey Nut Cheerios, barbecue sauce, shampoos. I mean, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of products that it's using honey, and there's people using it more and more. And
Yeah.
there's people that are getting into it and trying to experiment it with more, like beginning mead makers. So there's a lot more guys that want honey that are trying to experiment with it. And there's some guy that's like, you know, I want a barbecue competition, and next thing you know, it's Casey Masterpiece, and he needs 75 totes. You know, and those totes are 250 pounds, right? I mean,
Right.
or yeah, 250 pound totes and 500-pound totes is what we throw them in. So I mean, when you're throwing totes, I mean, I'm not talking buckets. I'm not
Yeah.
talking drums even. I'm talking a fucking crate totes,
Yeah.
right? You know,
They can be 250 to
canola.
500 gallons sometimes.
Yeah, and you get honey from Canada, and you get honey from, I think Uganda is a certified transport. And I even know that there's some certified that's done through like Websteront. And I think they get
Mhm.
most of their honey out of South America, right? And they're bringing it, and it's Websteront. So it's for people making fucking donuts and
Right.
pastries and doing all kinds of stuff. So I mean, when you're getting right down to it, if you want to pay $80 for genuine leatherwood honey from Australia and bring it in, that is a phenomenal honey to make mead with. You're going to pay a pretty penny for it. But you can go down to Costco, and I think it comes in a fluorescent orange label. Frank's, I mean, it's like Frank's hot sauce honey, right, from Texas. I mean, he produces a lot of honey, and I think he's selling it at three something for no, yeah, 475 a pound, I think is when I saw it on the thing. But he's got a large market, and he has a contract with Costco.
They got to have
Right,
a.
I have a honey contract, right? It's not to do that. I do it to a granola company. So that's why I said I know what I'm talking about on the whole other end. But we work with a granola company that's looking for the organic, wholesome, right? And that's where we sell our honey to, right? We sell honey to other people, right? But I don't compete on farmers markets, and I'm not bottling it up by the palletfuls and trying to ship it to some Safeway store to do it. I got a contract strictly to sell honey to Costco, and I got into beekeeping to, man, I did a whole bunch of stupid shit. I learned permaculture and how to revamp the earth so
Yeah.
I could grow the best plants. Then I learned beekeeping so I could harvest the best nectar. And then I followed some really great guys like Tom Ripka and stuff on mead making, and John Palmer and stuff, and learned about brewing and doing some cool stuff. And my family's tradition and what we do, this is how we make a fine product. And I'll marry you, right? That's how we give our product out the most, is we make meads for weddings and customize them just for you. Like if your wife loves the pea shoot purple because that's your color of wedding, we make that color. But she's like, I don't want it to taste like grapes. I like it to taste like peaches. And people are like, oh, great color tastes like peaches.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I said, yeah, I'm going to throw some glitter in it too. Sounds good, right? Right. And they're going, okay, right. Yeah. So now we've made your meat for your wedding. It tastes like peaches. It's purple in color. We threw a little glitter in it. Looks good. I mean, I've made some really cool meads that have gold in them, like our Grindel's Tears. It's a salted caramel mead with gold flakes in it. The tears of a god, right? Salted caramel, right? I mean, there's some really great, crazy stuff you can do, and I would like people to do more. I would like to get into smoking some honey and have some smoked honeys, and maybe some smoked barrel aged honeys then for a minute. I mean, what? How you? That's one reason why when you were talking about the clubs and competitions, you they made a standard. But God, there's so much way crazier shit and funner shit to do than to make a clear, nice rum. I mean, when you can make some really killer shit, man, and do some fun stuff that people are like,
Right.
really. I mean, we're doing the Nottingham series with the 6 different braggots, right? And you tell the story of Nottingham, and you drink to the characters of Maid Miriam, and people go, "Woo, Maid Miriam, yeah!" And you
I
go,
see.
"Oh, it's the sheriff of Nottingham," and everybody goes, "Boo, he's a jerk." And then you drink him, and it's a fucking good time, dude.
I like that. That's a cool concept. You have a mead that goes along with the characters. Every time they speak, you take a drink of their flavored mead. You have it. Man, that's a pretty wild
Yeah, it's
concept.
like a
So
melodrama when they say, "Oh, who's that big guy?" "Oh, that's Little John," and everybody goes, "Oi, oi, oi!" Right, and then you drink because it's Little John, right? And when you see Robin Hood, of course, he's the hero. So everybody's like, "Yeah, woo, yeah, get him," And when you hear Friar Tuck, everybody goes, "Ha ha 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 ha," because he's supposed to be a fat, jolly guy, right? And you're supposed to have fun, and you're supposed to teach. Like I said, this Nottingham thing is 6 different braggots, but it's based on a story called The Bragging Rights of Nottingham, and
gotcha.
it has gruits, and it has Kingsmeads, and it has soured. Man, that's it. A soured IPA braggot, man. It's a soured IPA braggot. That's the Sheriff of Nottingham.
I'll give it a shot. Hey man,
Yeah.
it can't be that bad. I mean, it can't be like make me not want to drink it bad.
No, right. Like you said, I think more of my stuff is just kind of fun and experimental, more than trying to be what's the next level of mead making. I have no idea. It's going to probably be some little kid that found some exotic bee that has some exotic honey that makes you really hallucinate, and he formulates it down to where you only need a little bit, and when you drink it, it cures fucking cancer. And that's the shit.
That's where I'm dying to see where the mead making process goes. Is starting to get into all those crazy adjuncts. Like, okay, so you had mentioned doing like a THC and CBD meads, and you have a making a video that's out there where you go like you're making it and teaching like a class or giving like a seminar about it and everything. And we can come back to that part here in a second, but at the end, towards the end of that video, you also start talking about, what people need to think about is start thinking about botanicals and different, herbs and spices, so to speak, for your meads. Everybody does the fruit stuff like that, but start thinking about like you were saying, the chamomiles and the different properties that all these different spices and coriander and the saffron, what all that could do when it's, like you said, fermented or smoked and fermented, or all these different things, all the different medicinal properties that could come out when they're made down into an extract and used in these smaller or essential oil type thing. I think that is where, the next level, if we want to keep using that term, is going to go, is, more, like you were saying, not necessarily medicinal.
Best level. I think it's the best level when you're talking medicinal. Right now, our biggest way that we take thing is oral. Everything that a doctor gives you is oral. Very likely do you get an injection unless it's severe, right? I mean, you're not just going home and injecting Demerol and stuff at home because you got pain. They're doing that at the doctor's office or the hospital because you're in pain.
Right.
But pain management and stuff is different. They teach pain management, and they give you different, take some Tylenol, take this, drink lots of water. For a long time, we've learned that if you thin the blood, things get into the system faster. That's why they go right intravenously when they're trying to give you shit at the hospital, right? Because it goes right into the blood.
Right.
So the second way to do that is to do an alcohol, right? Where it gets right into the bloodstream very quick, right? So if you would look at like heather and yarrow and stuff, man, there's some really like cerebral affecting things, and those are just plants you can go in the wild and pick, and you can ferment them in beers. And there's a lot of yarrow beers, and people talk about the tunnel vision and all the stuff with it. So there's a lot of plants, I'm not talking just to get high, but I'm using my one that won the Mazer Cup for the CBD and stuff was called Sleepy Time Medicated Mead. And we made it for a lot of people. And I've given that recipe out, and it's on the video, so you can make it too.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a free share bitch, right? And I have people
Open
that make
source.
it. Yeah, right. That I have people that make it and then sometimes message me on my email later and say, man, you know, I haven't had this good of sleep ever in my life. I have such bad chronic pain that like I have nervous leg syndrome that my wife thinks we are playing soccer. I just kicked the shit out of her in bed, man. But he
Really?
says, you know, I can drink some of your stuff and I can go to sleep and I feel, you know, she says, you know, I fall sleep pretty good. She says, I'm not kicking as much. I feel a lot better. And I've had people that has like some serious PTSD and stuff that have nightmares. And when you drink alcohol, you black out anyway, right? So let's drink something that's high in alcohol and good for you. It's made of, you know, I mean, it's paleo for fuck. It's everything but vegan. All right. So I mean, it's the most best thing you can get. People say fermentation was man-made. I just told you if there's not enough water or not enough sugar in the honeycomb to cap it, and a storm comes, it ferments in the honeycomb naturally with pollen, water, and sugar. Happens naturally, right? Have you ever had an apple fall on the ground and watched the raccoons eat it and get jacked up from eating fermented rotten apples? So don't give you that crap. Alcohol's only man-made. So we can make it. And I have, you know, like I've done a lot of research on some stuff, and there's some meads that were used during the Viking era that they traveled with that had ginger and stuff in them. Because when you came across the land, you needed some citrus and stuff for scurvy.
Right.
So you put it in the alcohol because it kept longer. Right. So you
There
kept,
you
that's
go.
how you kept from getting scurvy and stuff because it kept longer that way. But when we get ready to invade an island, I don't know what shit they have either.
Right.
Right. So we drink a little bit of alcohol and stuff that had some ginseng and some stuff in it, right, to boost our immune system before we hit the island. Because we just traveled a long freaking way and I need some vitamin C, I need some iron, right? And people are like, that's not an alcohol. I don't know. Have you read a beer bottle? Have you read some of the proteins and the vitamins and all the stuff? There was a guy that only did a beer diet from like an Abbey thing, lost weight, only drinking beer, right? So don't
Yeah.
give me that crap, right? There's science and then there's shit that's through history that people have done forever. And if mixing alcohol, good natural alcohol with some good blended herbs helps your joints, right? To where like, man, I'm not so stiff. The guy goes, yeah, I got a little alcohol in your system. Yeah, but it's a little more than that. I got some turmeric in this, and it's really helping out with my back spasms and shit, man. I was having some problems there. But I'm take a shot of this, at night, man. And I'm like, I feel a little bit better in the morning. How do you know? Is it psychological? Is it a placebo? Sure, great, awesome, right on, great, even better, right? Because now it's not even hurting you, and you think it's working for you, and it might be. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but in that thing, you see, I've had people, and we've done different things with different people, from fibromyalgia to different things, man. Adding different stuff and using cannabis and CBD and making meats from. Now, I don't make them in where it's illegal, right? And the videos out there, if you choose to make it, you make it. I don't make it and I don't use it because I don't need it. But it doesn't mean that I didn't do it to see. I went to a whole place in Colorado where they grew it and did all this stuff personally for me to do it, right? And the video that you see was done in front of like 70 of the world's largest meat makers in the world at the first Mazer Cup for like a open event, right? And I made it in front of them, and the next year I entered it and I won with it. And it was very, very controversial and all this stuff because you can't grow cannabis all around the world, and people can't compete on that level because it's medicinal. I'm competing on a level. I'm just not competing on taste, flavors, and stuff. Mine won. It was clear. It had all the flavors. It had all the tannin. I mean, it hit everything. It was bam, right? But there's a lot of people that can't do that. So you got to,
Well,
you know, you got to be fair, right? Yeah, everybody's got to be fair.
no, not everything doesn't have to be fair. That's a misconception. I mean, competitions are specifically designed to like, I mean, there's aspects of it that have to be fair, but no, specifically not. Like if you're having an experimental category, I think that falls quite nicely into an experimental category. Why
That
should
was
why should your access to ingredients be a limit to your experimental capability any more than money is to somebody else? You know what I mean? Just because you have access to a different ingredient, be it cannabis, as to somebody else has their ingredient, isn't money, so they can't buy the nicest honey or yeast or water or whatever the case may be. Why does the race always need to go to the swift or the jumble to the quick-witted? You should be able to help your own self out.
well, that was a pretty good soapbox right there, man. That I'm with you. I'm with you. That's all true. But like I said, you have to have a standard. You have to have people that make that, and I don't have a degree in brewing. Let me get that out. I've never been to any school. I've learned all my stuff from family, reading, and this. I mean, I did all this before there was YouTube and all. I mean, so is my stuff the best in the world? No, no, but I have a lot of people that drink it, and we have a lot of good times with it, and we do some fun things with it, and that's all I want to do. I entered competitions, and it was it was because I dated this girl, and she loaded my mouth in front of my ass. And she told me, she goes, if you're so good at what you do, why don't you enter a competition? So I entered the local brewing competition, the local brew clubs competition, and I won. And she goes, well, that's just the local stuff, right? This is just some guys here, right? What do they know? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You said it, and I did good, right? I won the meat competition. I did good. So the state fair came. So I entered the state fair. I won. So now I won the state fair. And so she goes, well, this is Wyoming. You live in a town that has 50,000 people. These other places have places that have like 1 million people that would probably tell you suck. Right. So all right. So I entered what they called the Opus Pagans Cup in Colorado. It's a pretty good thing. And I won. And I was like, well, this is good. This is going good, right?
Right.
And so she says, well, that's really good. So we entered a couple more competitions and didn't do very well. And then I said, you know what? If you're going to win something, you got to make a recipe that's a winning recipe that is the shit. And that's when we went with the CBD. And I entered the one last time at the Majors Cup. And we said, we'll do this one last time. And we brewed it in front of everybody. We let everybody see how we did it. It's like tricks. We did it in front of all of you. There's no tricks, right? And we entered it and we won. And then I looked at her and I said, look, I went from the basic shit all the way to a major win. I said, I do, am I the best in the world? No, but I said, I'm a competitor, right? People know my name. They cuss at me. Some people don't like me. They say, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I might not. But I've won some awards and I do some fun things and I try to teach people different stuff and I want people to experiment and do some really cool stuff. And I would just like people to, like, if you're coming through Wyoming, right, give me a message, say I'm coming through. We'd like to see the Underground Meadery, right? Feel free to message me and stuff. Come down and see what it's like to be a small brewer with a bad hobby. And that's, I took over my mom's basement a long time ago and it just grew from there and ended up getting bees and all the stuff to just do fun stuff. Do fun stuff.
Man.
Right? When John Duncan when you talk to him, that dude does some fun stuff. Cotton candy meads and he's doing what he calls pantry pie meads and he's got that southern boy. I like that old boy, right? He's fun. I went out and met him personally, took him to an event. I wanted him to see some of my stuff. If I meet you, I like to do good stuff. I'm hoping to get the Sap House Meadery and do an event. I'm trying to get some stuff going with some other people. right? Because it's just fun. It's just fun. Sit down
Definitely.
and drink, and then and you can even tell me, I've had way better pig shit than this, Michael. What is this? That's fine. I don't go. That's fine, man. I won't learn, and
Yeah.
uh,
No, I got you,
John
man.
told. Oh, one more thing before, because I know we're getting out of time.
Oh,
John told me to give you 3 tips for mead making, because he said he wanted to get. He says to start letting you know right, a mead make. One tip is you should always have something to catch fruit flies. Fruit flies are a destroyer of mead, right? They get in your jugs and then they float around and they destroy your batch of mead.
okay.
Anytime you have any type of sugar or any type of fermentation or anything, fruit flies are bad. So try to if you see fruit flies, get something to manage them right away, or they're going to get in your drinks. And nobody likes to pour a glass and then go, oh, it's one thing to be a juicy cloudy haze. It's another thing to have bugs, right? So that's the number one tip. Number 2 tip, right, is blow offs, right? You talked about vows. I talked about balloons and all kinds of stuff. I want you guys to really think about buckets. Bigger room. You can use marbles to fill up the spaces if you want to fill up volume after fermentation, after big rolling fermentation goes and stuff. It's okay to brew in something too big. It sucks to brew in something that's too fucking small. Right? So
Okay.
I just want you to think about that it's okay to buy a bucket from Home Depot. You're playing. It's okay to buy fruit juice from the store when it's on sale. That was the last tip I want to give, is that you're not an award-winning mead maker. You're not a commercial guy trying to make a product for sale. You're someone that would like to go to your nephew's wedding and say, I got you this for you and your wife. I think you might like it. It's something that you go to a football party and you say, motherfuckers, I got this drink I made. Let's pour it, boys. And you pour them, and they're like, hell yeah. And they're like, what is this? And you go, tip it back, because it's only death at the end of this. It's Vikings and Volligades, baby. And you're drinking and watching football, right?
Right.
Bam, crashing, right? You think you're there after a while. Just have fun. So brew stuff cheaply, even. It's okay. Watch your airlocks, get some buckets. Okay to play with some stuff. You're putting adjuncts, it's floating anyway, you filter them out, it's okay. We can add marbles. We can always get a smaller bucket, right? Like there's a gallon bucket, there's half-gallon buckets. So if it's done, you pour them down, put the caps on them. People go, that's oxidation. No, it's called degassing. Don't get so fucking technical, right? Check your airlocks, go with some fruit, and watch out for the damn bugs, baby, because you don't want them in your drink. So those are my
Right on,
tips,
man.
buddy.
Do you have a couple more minutes or?
Yeah, yeah, I got time, right? I don't have to do nothing for another hour, and then I gotta get stuff prepped ready because you'll get stung for a living.
Gotcha. Just a couple quick questions before I get into my last little bit. So you say go for the store bought, like the store bought honey, I can certainly understand. But so my thought with like the store bought juices and stuff is, to me, it seems kind of, I use the term hypocritical, because a lot of people will sit there and wax prolific about how they don't want to use chemicals and they don't want to use this, that, and the other in their meat to clarify it or for stabilization. But then they sit here and buy, Walmart brand apple juice that's got, all these different ingredients sometimes and preservatives and stuff in it. And like, not everybody, there are people out there who specifically look for stuff, but I've seen some people like just like grab like ocean spray this. And it's like, come on, if you want to use it, that's fine, do you, but don't sit here and tell me that you're not going to add, you're not going to add whatever it is for clarifying or whatever, but then throw in Walmart brand chemical juice.
I don't know. So
to me, it's just a matter of principle.
I
can't take somebody
you
seriously when they're
can't
wax
be.
prolific about that.
Well, I'm never max on any of it, because when people say it's organic, I already told you that on my property, The
Right.
water hasn't been touched by anything for over 125 years, right? There isn't a lot of places around there that can say that. So when you say organic, what do you mean? You dug up the dirt, you put it in a kiln and killed everything that was in it, right? And then you went and put natural organic fertilizers in, like chicken shit and rabbit poop,
Well,
and you hand mixed that, and then you boiled water so all the chemicals were out of it, and that's what you mixed in with the dirt, right? Because organic means that everything is down to the natural base, and there's nothing in this world that's organic. So that's just organic practices. So
right.
people are doing organic practices, but nothing's really organic.
I'm
Water flowed down this hill, came across this crop. They sprayed up here. He does all the organic practices he get, but the ground aquifer fucked his plants.
right.
And that's bad.
And I get
So
all that. Like, but like I said, what if you want to go organic or all natural, I mean, those are all just buzz terms, ultimately, like you said, soil is supposed to be a
yeah.
living thing. You're not supposed to bake it and kill
So I
everything in your
understand like
soil.
some fruit juices have pectades in them. And you know, if you're going to make a mead, you want to make a mead, you get good honey. You try to do the best you can. And you should juice the juice that you put in. If you want to make a good mead, don't buy fruit juice, go buy frozen fruit and try to get frozen fruit that doesn't have anything sprayed on it and stuff.
Right.
And you can even get cool frozen fruit from your frozen fruit section that has like strawberries and kale. Blend it together with some ice cream and make a strawberry kale milkshake. Well, why not just go ahead and blend that all up and make a meat? I'm just saying, I personally, I show using fruit juices and stuff bought from the store, but I'm also showing people, I just want you to jump in and try something. I don't want you to be afraid. My videos, there's no editing. They go from start to finish through the whole thing. So any fuck up, you see it live. It doesn't, we don't edit it in or out. So I'm just trying to show you how to do nice things. But yeah, if you want to make a good mead, you want to make a piment, you do just what I said. You ice your own grapes, you juice down your own, right? You go to the store. If you get fruit, if you buy apples, right? Then it depends. Are they good apples or are they, sprayed apples, or if you go pick apples, take your apples, dice them up, and throw them in the freezer. That way they freeze and bust open all the water cells. That way, when you juice them down, you get a lot more flavor and juice.
Right.
So yeah, if you're buying juice, yeah, it's almost like taking what's that jelly? Smucker's jelly, strawberry Smucker's jelly, right? You can scoop that in with honey and mix that together with water, and it makes a great strawberry mead.
I would
But
imagine so.
but
Like,
it's got pectades and all kinds of stuff and lots of not real good organic flavors. You know what I mean?
right.
But
And
it's a
that's,
really great tasting strawberry mead.
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand. I'm not, like, I agree with you. Make a mead out of whatever you want to make it mead. If you're going to go to, go buy orange juice, or if whatever you can afford, whatever your thing is cool. It just, to me, it makes me laugh a little bit when people sit here and wax on about how, not, nobody in particular, it's just something I've seen, people say, oh, I'm not going to use, clarifying agents, or I'm not going to add any, I don't want to add any chemicals to my, it's a natural process, whatever. But then you're sitting here using, grocery store fruit juice. To me, it's just a little bit
Yeah, yeah,
back and forth, but
yeah.
it's
I know
whatever.
exactly what you're saying. I know
So,
exactly what you're saying. You know that the guy's trying to give out a fine product and he's not using fine products. I get what
right,
you're saying.
you're
But
never
on
gonna
a
get in a
commercial
finer.
level,
Yeah, you're never gonna
on a
get a finer
commercial
product
level,
out than what you put into, and you know what I mean. If you're gonna only put in grocery store brand products, I mean, you're gonna get. I'm not saying it's not gonna be drinkable. I'm not even saying it's not gonna taste great. It very well could, but it's not gonna be as good as you can get from the finer the source, the finer the product in the end.
yeah, yeah, and we show a lot of stuff, but technically, you should be getting you should add fruits at different times, and they should be different things. There's different things from raw fruits and different from purees.
Right.
They're you know, like when you're talking about clarification, when I do my traditional mead, that's why we teach a 6 month. In 6 months, it's clarified, right? And we remove the balloon. I take all my initial readings on my original traditionals, and they sit for 6 months. I don't touch them. They sit for 6 months before we pop a balloon off of them and check to see everything on them, because they're going to be clear. Are they still active? A little bit, yeah, right. But they're not active like the fermentation that you're thinking. Because if I taste it and it's what I want, I do the triple uh, cold crashing, where we take and we rack it into a jug, cold crash that jug, rack that into another jug, cold crash that jug, and eventually, yeah, I lose a little volume. Don't get me wrong, but I'm naturally clarifying my mead. I'm cold crashing and eliminating sediment. I'm cold crashing, dropping the sediment, removing it from the sediment. So there are natural ways. I do them. They take a long time. If you don't have time and you want to drink mead in 37 days, I'll teach you. Right? But if like we're talking about, the finer stuff and the more you do, the finer the product you do. And if you're going to be competing against some of these commercial meaderies, and I'm going to let you know, meaderies just don't show up because they got mead. It's a very hardcore world in the mead business, right? Because you have people that are like me that walk in and drink your mead and tell you that's not an award-winning mead. But pour me another fucking glass. I'm liking it. I'm liking it, dude. It's fucking really great. I'm liking it. Right? Or I'm the guy that's gonna tell you, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, this is sour. Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you were going for? Because this is almost vinegared out. You should try. I mean, I don't know what you did. Uh Man, I went to one place and the guy was doing really good, but he got a shipment of honey from Florida Glades and it has swamp honey. It smelled really good, but when you tasted the mead, it was swamp mead.
Ooh.
Just from where it was from and where the honey came from. He got it at a really good price. That shows you why he got it at a really good price.
No
Right?
shit.
I mean, there's and you know, the finer the product, the better the mead. The longer it sits, the better it can be. And
How it is.
that's just how it goes.
Got you.
I don't diss anybody. I try not to diss anybody's mead. I try not to, because I personally make bad meads and I blend them with other things. And you know, I might as well pour a whole bunch together. Like I said, I don't care if it looks orange and tastes like cherries. Right? I don't, you know, I'm playing with stuff anyway. Uh I personally, if I did a wedding for somebody, or I did a Super Bowl event for somebody, or somebody's private survival event, or something where they're having me come and they're like, I want to do something great for my people, right? I'm giving you, you told me to let you know like a year in advance. That way I have something that I can give everybody that's one of a kind, exotic. Because where else are you going to get it? You're not. You're either going to have Michael remake it, or you're only going to get it at my event, right? And I go, that's right. You're only going to get it at your event, right? We'll make it just for what you want. What are you looking for, right? What's your event about, or what's your wedding colors, and what are your flavors, or like you're going to the Super Bowl party. I'm sure you guys don't want any fruity shit, right? You guys probably want more braggots and porters, right? You know, we try to, you know, you gotta. If I'm doing something for people like that, I'm going to try to give them the best product for the price that they can afford.
Right. That makes
Right?
sense.
Because they're not going to, sometimes they're not going to ship in heather honey that would pop this off, right? But they'll buy some clover honey, right? That's $10 a pound, and nothing that's $40 a pound, you know? So, I mean, you blend what they need for the best price for their best product. Now, when I'm messing around and stuff, right, and I do stuff at my house, and I have the Underground Meadery bottling parties, right? And we're bottling a whole bunch of stuff, and we're drinking stuff. You know, it could be a vast variety of different things that I'm playing with. And methogens have herbs, and piments are grapes, and and you have people with different flavors too, because not everybody likes a Bloody Mary, right?
No,
But
I
some
hate
people
Bloody
really
Marys.
pop off. Yeah, some people really pop off on a good what's the champagne, the orange juice.
A mimosa.
Yeah, both breakfast drinks, right? One's one way, one's another. Some people just right, people just have their thing, and
Yeah.
I think that if you're gonna sell a product or do a product for somebody on a donation, or like we're gonna barter something to make it, do the best you can for them. Don't just turn out something and throw it at them and say this is what I got, baby. Really try to do something nice and do something fun. Like I said, this we're doing the Nottingham series right now. We're getting ready to brew Sherlock Holmes and the Morning Glory Mysteries,
Oh wow.
right? So we're gonna use good products for that and for that story, right? So it's not like, but you know how we got some of those flavors was
Trial and error.
me going to the supermarket and trying some shit before I really invested money on the good product. So there you go. So sometimes you have to try some stuff. You use some snow cone syrup just to see if I can get really, if I can I make this motherfucker taste like cheesecake? You're shitting me. It tastes like bacon cheesecake. How did you get bacon cheesecake? Well, sometimes for what you want, we do things, right? So I don't, like I said, I don't really diss anybody or whatever they try. I want you to try, but I am with you. If you want a good product, use good stuff, right? You should use fruit. You should use the juice, and you should use the right. You should do them in the layers and all the stuff, right? So that way you the full flavors. I make an apple cider that I have apple honey, apple blossom honey shipped from me from Henry's Apple Blossom Honey Factory. So it's apple blossom honey. I have two types of apples that are shipped to me from Oregon. One's a type of Macintosh that comes from, like, I think their test thing there, but I get bushels of them and I dice those up and I freeze them. Uh, and I'm only using juice, and I'm only using apple blossom honey,
Right.
right? So it's only apple blossom. And when it's all said and done, and when we use the purees and we blend it all down, when you drink it, it's like drinking a crisp, like you bit into a really crisp, sweet apple, right? But it's because we use really good fine products for it.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it makes
dying
a
to try some of your. I'm dying to try some of your stuff, man. You're up in Colorado, right?
I'm in Wyoming.
Oh,
We do
Wyoming.
events in Colorado. There's a couple places that I go over there and do events in because, like I said, I live in Cheyenne. There's only 50,000 people in the whole city of Cheyenne.
Right.
If everybody in Cheyenne's drank my mead, or everybody that wants to drink mead has probably drank my mead,
Gotcha.
right? From me setting up a bee booth, talking bees, and giving out samples for people to try. Well, let me see your ID. Yep, you can try it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sure I've probably tuned everybody that wants to try it here. But like I do events like in Colorado and stuff. I was in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio. You're in Arizona, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. My sister-in-law lives in Arizona.
Nice.
Right. I think she lives in Flagstaff, or no, it's Paradise, Arizona. I think it's what's called Paradise, Arizona.
Paradise Valley. That's right down the road.
Par-
Right down
is
from.
that?
If she lives in Paradise Valley, chances are she's got a little bit of money.
Well, she's good looking and she's
Hey.
pretty smart, so I'm sure she's got something going for her.
Yeah. Paradise
But we
Valley's a
go
nice
visit.
part of
We go
town.
visit her. That might be something, if that's close to you in that area, that we could
Well, we
get
can make it
together and drink.
wherever you're at in Arizona. We can make it work. My wife loves to go hiking and camping, and There's a lot of, pretty much if you're not in Arizona and Phoenix proper, you can pretty much find hiking and camping anywhere near where you're going. So yeah, if it's up in Flagstaff or Prescott or Payson, anywhere up there, we can definitely make it work, my man. Plus, there's some great meaderies here. Have you visited a lot of commercial meaderies in your days, or you're just kind of do your own thing?
Yeah. I floated around. One of my favorites, and is no longer business, was the Rabbit Meadery out there in California. And then he had to sell and everything, and he had great mead. I've been through Montana. For that guy's been brewing mead forever, right? And he's got his Amazon line out that you can get from Amazon. And he has
Hidden
even
Legend?
a King's mead Legend Meadery, yeah. I go through. I always want to go to meaderies, and I always want to do and see them. It's just that meaderies are really hard to get into.
Yeah,
They have odd hours. Well, they have odd hours in general, right?
Yeah,
it's an eccentric guy like me, right? We're open on Tuesdays between 2 and 4, and you can come back on Thursdays all day. And you're like, okay, that's that's a lot of the meaderies that I go to, is that you have to make the thing, right? And what's funny, right, is I started the term the Underground Meadery and stuff because of what we did, because we were giving everybody, parties on the underground, man. I used to have death Viking parties out in my field. Nice. People come from Denver and Nebraska to listen to Death Viking vet, and I'd open the back of my trunk. And I was like, for a donation, would you like to try something? Right? Oh, yeah, they'd be throwing it in there, and you just start filling drink cups and solo cups. Was I selling liquor? No, I was getting donations on my property.
You're damn right.
For having a party, right? At an event. I looked into it. I really did a lot because I didn't want to go to jail. Because we were brewing one time and did a thing downtown and was giving out alcohol, and I had the ATF and the alcohol division at my house. Want to know how much we brewed, were we permitted, and they went through and were like, man, we were just giving out. There was a lot of extra product. I can only hold so much. I can brew up to 300 gallons or 200 gallons a year, but that doesn't mean that we drank 200 gallons this year. Some of it's aging. So I got 200 gallons aging, and then we brew another gallon, that's 400 gallons, and now you got 800 gallons, and it's all different kinds, and you got to get rid of it. How you get rid of it?
Got to drink it.
I hire a whole bunch of death metal guys to come in and throw a big concert. We throw charge, and right, just like any event. Then you paid to come in, and when you paid to come in, we gave you mead. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Right, and we paid for the bands. It's not. We did everything by. People say, "Oh, you found loopholes." No, I used the law accordingly the way it was supposed to.
No joke, man.
Hey,
I'm on board with that. I think that's a great idea. You're on your own property. You should pretty much be able to do, whatever you need to do to get rid of your product without hasslement from the man, so to speak. But
what's do you have any more questions real quick? You said you had a couple questions. You gave me one about product and stuff. What else?
I got a bunch of I have some rapid fire questions here. Little quick whatnot. Try to just get a little off the top of the head type of answers. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, I actually probably want to do a separate interview. It'd be much more about the THC mead and the cannabinoid meads. If we come back and do another one just on that, because I think that's something that's kind of it's a taboo subject that deserves a whole session in and of its own.
It's a different thing. I'd like to talk about it. It's really cool, but I will tell you, the gentleman that knows the most about alcohol and cannabinoid. And the only reason is because I know is the gentleman from Blue Moon,
the head brewer from Blue Moon.
Yeah,
like Blue Moon, the brewery Blue Moon.
Well, I think aren't they out of Colorado?
I haven't drank a Blue Moon in a Blue Moon.
I think that they did hemp beer and all kinds of stuff, and he's even written a book. There's a book out about cannabinoids and alcohol and about the use. And I think he's pretty well rounded when it comes
Okay.
to about cannabinoid use and how much and how to extract it. Like I said, I learned how to extract mine from Oaksterdam out of California because,
Right.
like I said, I'm just that type of guy. I'm an eccentric kind of guy. Fuck it, I'll go. I'll go take a class just to go see because I think it's cool.
Okay.
And that's how I learned about extraction of what I was doing. Right, I do what they call heat infusion. Right, is that I'm heating the distillates to blend together and stuff, and I'm already using distillates to do it right. I also learned how to do it with a pressure cooker and stuff, but we can talk about that
Yeah,
if you want to talk about. We can do that, but yeah, we can do that. There's some knowledgeable stuff out there about it,
definitely.
and we can even talk about, like I said, I want to get into what they call Blue Dream, and that's using. I've been talking with Paul Stamos and some guys out of Ohio about mushrooms and some stuff. So there's some other stuff I want to try too.
Yeah, I'd love to get like a multi, get like two or three other guys on there with us and have like a whole little roundtable discussion or chat about it. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would be super cool because I would like more knowledge on it too.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we were just talking about medicines and stuff. Let's face it, you don't want to hurt somebody.
No.
It's one thing. It's one thing to go to the rave and do MDMA. It's one thing to go to the rave and someone gave you MDMA. You know what I mean? You're like, I wasn't expecting any of this, and now I'm DJ Santa. True. That's a story I can tell you. But I mean, there's some difference about that. And so,
Yeah.
like, if we talk about that, that's some stuff that I would really talk about. Is that there's some
Yeah.
safety aspects you should really do too. It's like drinking, right? You shouldn't be drinking and drive. People do it. I mean, it's the largest money maker for your highway patrol. They actually don't condemn it. They condone it because that's how they make their money, right? Is the more drunk drivers, the more money we get, right? It's a money making industry to have people get a misdemeanor crime that ruins their lives, right?
Yeah.
From drinking, right? I mean, yeah, that'd be something I'd cover when we talk about. Yeah. What else? Another question.
All right. So we got a couple. I got it's a couple of rapid fire questions. Got a couple more minutes here. Got the family breathing down on my neck for dinner time. So what's the first thing you do in the morning when you get up?
I'm usually up at 3:30 in the morning, man, and I'm up and I'm out the door to go to the bees.
All right. Hot or cold?
I don't know. I'm a sultry kind of guy.
Do you use your turn signal?
Yes.
Cat or dog person?
Oh man, we're a pet family. I got cats right here. We just put our dog down.
I'm
So
sorry to hear that.
that's all right. Personally, I like dogs, so it's a dog. I like dogs. I like motherfucking dogs.
Pineapple on your pizza?
No.
No pineapple on your pizza. Toilet paper
No.
over the front or over the back?
I'm under the back kind of guy.
All right, like a mullet. There we
And I
go.
like to where I could just pull it, so I can pull it down and then pull it. When it's over the top, you end up spinning it, and it spins all over, and it's all over. So I'm over the underneath. Yeah.
Favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Between Samoas and mints, right? But I have to say I like the Girl Scout cookie mints because we actually used it in a mead.
Oh, there we go. Sounds good. Burgers or pizza?
Burgers.
Nice. Favorite breakfast cereal?
I'm not a breakfast cereal guy, but if it would be oatmeal, and I like hot oatmeal.
There we go. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
It would be like the Juggernaut. Once I get started, you couldn't stop me.
That's a good one, my man. You a cook?
I dabble.
Dabble. What's the worst job you ever had?
Funeral parlor.
Ooh. Yeah, it seems like I'd be down in the dump, so to speak.
Just depressing. Super interesting, very educational. Just watching the one old guy talk to dead bodies all night was just too too sad. It's just too sad. You see a lot of heartbreak coming into that place, right? But you know, when you got to make some money to pay some bills and stuff, you know, you
Gotta do what you
flip
gotta do.
bodies. You hose them down and dress them up, man.
If you weren't a mead maker, you would be a.
Man, there would, that's all I've ever wanted to be. I am what I've always wanted to be. I'm a master beekeeper, man. I'm a master cut meat maker. What would I be? I wouldn't be here. I don't know where I would be. I would, to be honest with you, man. I have no idea. I've never looked at it that way. I've never looked. This is just what I do. I've always done this.
My name is Michael Jordan, and I'm
I'm a fat bastard. No, my name is Michael Jordan, and I want you to remember when you talk about green energy, I want you to think of me because there's nothing greener than a beekeeper.
right on, my man. I love it. So thank you for being here today, Michael. Yes, I'm loving it.
When I end stuff, I want you to do two things. Number one, buy your honey from a beekeeper you respect. Buy it from a small cottage industry because someone's got to start somewhere. And whenever you get a chance, help your fellow man because one day you're going to need some help too.
And on that note,
You be
we'll call
good,
it an
brother. We'll
evening.
talk to you again.
Take it easy, brother.